Ladies and gentlemen, now that I've had Doctor Octopus for a couple of days and done like an insane amount of testing with this character, I've played around with this dude in absolutely every scenario that I can think of to kind of test his viability and how he handles certain situations, and I love Doctor Octopus. I think in the last few months, he's probably my second favorite character that's been introduced, aside from the Stark Enhanced version of Spider-Man. I think Doc Ock, in terms of my perception of the game, my tier list, my rankings, I'm going to put him in at the Demi God tier, and that's mainly for three different reasons. And the first one is his power lock is something interesting we're going to talk about in this video, because it's arguably better in certain matchups against like Magic and Cable, those two being kind of the main ones, and especially Magic being kind of the big bad Alliance War defender, as well with Dormammu. They're just everywhere. It's a little bit problematic when you awaken Doc Ock versus his unawakened one. But regardless of which, he has potential, if you do it in the right spot, to have an infinite power lock that is kind of very, very easy to manage and sustain. So I think there are going to be certain encounters and fights in the future and challenges, you know, if the Power Flood challenges like Batista's come back, Doc Ock, he's going to be an MVP. He's going to be a go-to option for stuff like that. Granted, you know, if you're comparing him to characters like Magic, he has a little bit of a slower ramp-up time, but, you know, even against, you know, I did some testing on the All or Nothing Iron Patriot and Road to the Labyrinth, and I could get the power lock off with the Electro synergy before he reached his first special 3, so his ability to negate power is just incredibly good under somebody that is, you know, confident playing Doctor Octopus and his synergies. Now the second reason is kind of his unique heal block. The fact that he's a heal block character always going to make him, you know, one of those options for quest and monthly events where we encounter characters with big healing, but the fact that he can not only heal block but also heal block, you know, 100% of the time if you play the character correctly, and also siphon a percentage of that health back that the enemy is gaining. I think that is just incredibly valuable. So there isn't like any scenario I can think of, apart from a few lanes in Act 5 that have like arc overloads, you know, constantly going on like once every 20 seconds or something, where I believe this makes Doc Ock the best option, but it's a very nice thing for the character to have. And the third and final thing is this character does not hit like a wet noodle. He's got some fairly decent damage. Granted, it is still incredibly lagging behind characters like Gwenpool and Archangel, but the amount of utility this character has, you know, I think it kind of makes him worth the sacrifice in terms of the damage front. But, you know, if I've seen some of the damage output from like 550 Doc Ocks, and Doc Ock's rank 3 is a 5-star, and it looks pretty decent, you know, it's not wet noodle, so that's what I love, you know, champions with a decent bit of utility and also some viable damage output, so really cool stuff there. But yeah, finally, I mean, one of the other things I really like is his synergies. Now, we're kind of missing 2 synergies on the 3-star version that are available on both the 4 and 5-star, but those synergies actually, like, they're pretty worthless. These are really kind of the 2 essential ones that have a kind of very unique use with Doc Ock. So the first one is Electra, and I think this one is just so incredibly valuable in certain quests. It basically when your breakthrough expires, research categories, instead of resetting to 0, they go back to 50, which means that you can just get to your next breakthrough within like a 5-hit combo, and it's brilliant. It's so good. So yeah, if you ever need to kind of aggressively control power, you want to put an Electra in your team to kind of get this particle physics synergy, which is incredible in my opinion. I really like that synergy. It's very cool. And then finally we have the Ant-Man one, which is a little bit interesting. So it will start you with plus 40 chemistry research. Now this is actually, when awakened, you can have this combo, because when awakened, one of the abilities he additionally gets is he starts with all of his research categories at 60. So if you have the synergy with Ant-Man, it will instantly apply his chemistry breakthrough, which is the heal block and siphon. So, you know, if you do need to initially counter kind of a bit of a burst of healing at the start of the fight, that's a potential option. So yeah, I'm not really too sure how effective the second one is, but I can tell you the first one is just so incredibly valuable. So yeah, really rate that one. And then finally, when we talk about like Doc Ock's abilities, now that I've kind of you know, given you an overview of what's good about the character and what he can do. We're going to talk about Doc Ock Awakened versus Unawakened. So just to give you the quick beginner's guide to Doctor Octopus, basically he has 3 different research categories. You have physics, biology, and chemistry. Doing various actions will basically give you more in that category, but if you're playing perfectly, if you're just attacking and not getting hit, you're always going to reach the physics breakthrough, which is the power lock one. It also has the scaling effect of the opponent's special damage being reduced. The chemistry one, which is the heal block one, builds on block or parry, and you know, when you reach the breakthrough it applies the heal block. And then finally the biology one builds when landing hits him when being struck, and this will give you fury as it's going. And this one, you know, if you're playing well, it's always a little bit behind the physics one, which is the power one. So yeah, you're pretty much never going to see the breakthrough on this unless you make a few mistakes and take quite a few hits, and then you'll get that armor up buff instead of the power lock. So that's one of the things you need to be a little bit careful for on Doc Ock. It's definitely a character that, you know, needs to be piloted by somebody that's read the abilities and knows, you know, is fairly savvy with quite a bit of the Marvel Contest of Champions combat. And then finally, there is a way, there are so many interesting ways actually that you can handle like breakthroughs and stuff. What I want to talk about next though, so you have the unawakened breakthroughs, and then you have completely different effects when the character is awakened. Now, I was talking about the power one earlier. So basically unawakened, the power one applies a power lock debuff to the opponent for 5 seconds, completely locking any power gain. So that is brilliant against a magic or a cable, and using a combination of the special 3 and then just repeatedly spamming the special 1, you can have that up 100% of the time. So against power control matchups, this actually arguably makes Doc Ock a better champion to have unawakened. So yeah, a bit of an interesting one. A lot of people have also been asking me, should I go for this champion as a 5-star? Maybe. It depends what you need. You know, if you need a champion that can handle healing and power control at quite a, you know, high and beefy rank, then it might be one to go for. But I know the priority for a lot of people with their first featured 5-star is getting a champion that can clear Labyrinth of Legends. And I think you're better off, you know, saving up for Stark Enhanced Spider-Man if you're looking for kind of that champion there. But anyway, back to his Awakened physics ability. So his Awakened one is to drain 100% of power gained and steal, I believe it's up to 15% or 10% of the power drained. So this one, instead of locking, it's gonna, you know, add the power to the opponent and then instantly subtract 100% and then calculate the value based on your signature level and siphon like a little bit of that back to Doc Ock. So instead of being like a buff that now, you know, your opponent is power locked and you gain additional power, actually has these potentially really negative effects against kind of a magic or cable matchup. So yeah, a bit of an odd one there, but against, you know, pretty much every scenario, the increased power gain, like it's fairly decent. You know, it's pretty nice to have. Not kind of a make or breaker, but you know, will certainly you know, help you out a bit more, get off you a few more special attacks. And then we have the chemistry one, like I said earlier, which is dealing direct damage equal to 100% of the health gained. So it's a heal block that allows the enemy to heal and then just deals that damage back, and then siphons a certain amount over to your character. And then the biology one, which just doesn't matter. You just gain a little bit of, oh, well, as long as the armor up, you gain armor penetration as well. But yeah, that just, you know, it's not going to trigger unless you get hit. So yeah, try not to make that one trigger. Now, when it comes to the breakthroughs, I think there are some very interesting ways to actually play this character that I found beyond kind of doing the special, you know, the standard tactic for most matchups. If you want to focus on either blocking healing or blocking power, is to get to the breakthrough of your choosing on the special attack free, and then fire the special attack free off. That is going to duplicate that current breakthrough and then increase its duration by 10 seconds. So it's going to be a total of 15-second breakthrough, and then if you keep on spamming the special one, that is going to reset the duration of that breakthrough that is currently active. So, you know, you can infinite, you know, heal block and also infinite power lock. So interesting stuff there. However, one of the things is the special attack 2 pretty interesting. So it will trigger the breakthrough effect of all research categories currently at 100. So there are ways that you can play, and I'm going to show you on the screen now just a bit of Winter Soldier footage kind of edited in, where you actually get all of the categories to 100, and then you wait to go a little bit over the special 2, you fire off the special 2, you break through all of them, and then you play like an absolute beast. You intercept like an absolute boss, and you can have all of the breakthroughs active if you play very, very aggressively. So yeah, I think this is potentially, I can't think of any super great use for this at the moment, but maybe in the future, if there is a boss that is healing like absolutely crazy and has either very annoying special attacks or, just crazy power gain, Doc Ock and special attack 2 and then spamming the special 1 to refresh it, it might be the potential solution there. So I think Doctor Octopus, overall, he has a lot of promise. I really rate this character. I feel like he's pretty good in terms of his design. I think some of his stuff needs a little bit better wording, and I would appreciate for the awakened breakthroughs if there were slightly different icons, because it still shows the heal block and the power drain icon, the power lock icon, which is a little bit confusing initially when you first start playing the character, because even when you have them awakened, you're like, oh, it's, am I really getting these awakened effects? How exactly do they work? So yeah, it'd be nice if they had a unique one for that, but again, that's kind of me just kind of nitpicking a little bit. Overall, I really like the design of this character. I think he's very fun to play, very interesting, but I'm interested, ladies and gentlemen, to get your thoughts on Doctor Octopus. Do you like this addition to the game? Do you not like him? Do you think anything could be a little bit better about Doc Ock? I would love to see like a straight power lock instead of the awakened ability that he has now, because I think, for a lot of people that is a bit of a detriment to the character. If he just had power lock all of the time, then yeah, that would be a little bit more useful in certain matchups, and especially when it comes to stuff like Alliance War, very valuable there. But I think also one of the things that I was thinking about very oddly is just how amazing this character would have been when willpower was at its height, and all, every person you fought in Alliance War was healing like crazy. Like, I feel like Doc Ock just would have absolutely wiped the floor with a lot of the stuff there. So yeah, but anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think of Doctor Octopus in the comments below. Do you like this champion? Do you not like him? Apart from that, thank you very much for watching. Take care, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic day.